Hey, it's Kim Commando Today, your daily podcast to keep you up to date with all things digital and beyond. And I'd love to have you be a part of our podcast. You can make an appointment to speak with me. Just head over to commando.com, and on the top right, there's a button that says Email Kim. Fill that out, and that's it.
I saw this over at Reddit. Oh my gosh. Did you get a new TV for Christmas? This guy on Reddit had a genius idea. What he did is he packed the old one into the new one's box. He left it on his porch. And guess what? Porch pirates, they came by to the rescue. They just scooped up the box thing and they got a brand new TV. And yeah, they just got an old TV. You gotta love Reddit. And on that happy note, welcome. You have to buckle up, Buttercup, because I am here to make sure that you are always tech ahead, never left tech behind in the digital dust, because that's my job. I'm Kim Commando, America's beloved digital goddess, here with you once again. And let me tell you, you have just tapped into the biggest show, the most trusted show, the award-winning show on over 420 top stations from coast to coast. And of course, we're streaming in your favorite radio app. Just search for my last name, Commando. And you can get the Kim Commando Show as a podcast in your favorite podcast player. Just search for my last name, Commando. And a big hello and salute goes out to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio. Love you guys and gals. Reaching over 375,000 U.S. service members in 175 countries. And I just think this is the greatest. 200 ships at sea get the Kim Commando Show. And just a reminder that great sponsors help to make this show possible. So as I'm giving out special promo codes and URLs, and you're like, hey, what is that address and how can I get that deal? Just head to one spot, commando.com/sponsors. And speaking of, I'd like to thank Incogni for helping to make this show possible. Let me tell you, your personal information is out there. I'm talking about names, addresses, even your online habits. It's all collected and sold by data brokers without your consent. And that's why it's so important for you to head to privacykim.com. That's where you're going to get my exclusive deal with Incogni, so you can remove yourself from the internet. You get 60% off right now at privacykim.com. Once again, that's privacykim.com. And I know that you have a slew of questions about something digital, and 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join in the fun and get my trusted advice. Or just a reminder, you could always make an appointment to speak with me here on the show. Just head over to commando.com, the official homepage of the Kim Commando Show, and up at the top, there's a link that says Ask Kim. Alrighty, then every single day I dive into at least 35, 40 different sources to make sure that I am up to date on what's happening in the tech world. And here are the top 5 things you need to know about right now. I'm going to start with if you're looking for a job. Let me tell you, it's hard. It can drain anyone's spirit. But the problem is that there are so many fake job postings out there that are making things even worse. So here's the truth. If you're looking for a new job online, 20% of those job postings are not real, even though the ad could be placed by a big-time company, a legitimate employer. There could be hundreds, maybe even thousands of applicants, and the job listing will just linger on month after month after month. So why are they doing this? Major companies, they say they have all sorts of reasons to maintain a steady stream of new applicants or to give the appearance that the company is growing. But some people are getting hired, about 250,000 in new positions just last month. So the big question is, how do you spot the fakes? Here's a telltale sign. The longer that the job has been posted, the less real it probably is. So my best advice to you is if you are looking for a job, just be Babe Ruth. Be Babe Ruth. Yes. Swing at anything. That's right. All right, moving on to number 2. What type of qualifications do you really need to get that job? Well, it used to be a degree in computer science, information tech, web development, software engineering. Those were all fabulous. Today, not so much. So what degrees are making the big bucks? Let's start with cloud computing and DevOps. That's where you can learn to manage infrastructures that are critical for businesses of any size with AWS, Azure, and Google certifications. Then there's computational biology. Wow. Doesn't that sound amazing? Advances in medicine, pharmaceuticals, and genetics. Then, of course, robotics, automation engineering, it's all the future. And then finally, a degree in quantum computing or blockchain development. Okay. If you don't know what they are, wow, that's where the big money's being made. Moving on to number 3, a guy by the name of Jesse Beck, 45 years old. He recorded a selfie video. It's a sad story, 4 days before he died in a motorcycle crash. And he stated that all his possessions should go to his brother and definitely not his daughter. Well, the court said that video did not qualify as a will. So while much of our life has gone digital, estate laws, they are still clinging to paper. In the Wall Street Journal, they reported that half of Americans don't even have a will. So armed with a phone, people are recording audio and video thinking like, hey, this is good enough. But it doesn't count. Electronic wills are emerging in about a dozen states, letting documents created, signed, and stored digitally. But even then, it has to be written down. It cannot be recorded because you have fraud risks and, of course, deep fakes. So the gold standard is a paper drafted by a lawyer, signed by you in front of a couple of witnesses, and also notarized. Moving on to number 4, let's talk about Gen Zers. Of course, you know, they were born between 1997 and 2012. And they've never known a world without phones and texting and social media, streaming. But as it turns out, they don't know what to do with cash. Yeah, they don't. They don't really know how to tell something that could be counterfeit, like a $5, a $10, a $20, or $50 bill. And they don't know that there's nothing higher than a $100 bill in circulation. So here's the deal. A third of Gen Zers say that they're just frightened. They're afraid to carry cash because it's going to be lost or stolen. So if you have a Gen Zer, you might want to talk to them about how cash is king and you can carry it around. Although I tell you, I know that I say that, definitely not a Gen Zer. I have one, but I never carry any cash. It's kind of embarrassing, really. But so what I do is I tuck like a $20 bill into my iPhone case, just in case. All right, finally, this coming at number 5. Let's talk about mortgage interest rates. They've fallen all year. In 2025, this year is going to drop even further. So this means more eyes than ever are going to be glued to Zillow.com. Now, it's not an overstatement to say that virtually every home buyer and seller looks up their property's value on Zillow. And many times people believe that this so-called Zestimate is really the gold standard. But the problem is that it's not, and you need to know this. Agents and brokers will tell you that the Zestimate is only the starting point. At worst, it could be dangerously off the mark because during COVID, I don't know if you know this, but Zillow itself lost hundreds of millions of dollars relying on its algorithm to buy homes to flip. But as it turns out, the algorithm was wrong. And in so many neighborhoods, it still is. So if a new home or an existing home for sale is on your radar, I want you to always remember this. The real value of a home is what you can actually buy it for, sell it for right this minute. It's not a website's algorithm, which is not, by the way, Al Gore's band, Algorithm. Ooh, tough crowd. Hey, let me tell you, my husband refused to wear hearing aids after a virus left him with hearing loss in one ear. And I said, hey, listen, I use glasses to see, so what's the big deal? Hearing well isn't just about catching every single word. It's your secret weapon for keeping your brain super sharp and staying socially connected. And right now, if you go to here.com/Kim, you can see if you qualify for a 45-day no-risk trial of the Horizons IX hearing aids. That's here.com/Kim, here.com/Kim. Hey, how about we start with John in beautiful Juneau, Alaska. Hi there, John.
Hi, Kim. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How can I lend a hand?
Well, I work from home here in Juneau. I work for the National Marine Fisheries Association.
What do you do there?
Excuse me. I am a planner for all of our fisheries facilities throughout the country, from Woods Hole up in the New England down to in La Jolla down in San Diego.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
And all the way around our country in between. I was going to say everything in between, but that doesn't really make sense.
No, that's awesome. That's great.
And so anyway, I work remotely at home, and so I put my phone, my iPhone, on silent, or I'll put my phone on silent, and then I'll forget to take it off of silent. And I get those phone calls from my wife, or text messages saying, where are you? How come you're not answering your phone? And so I was wondering if there is a way that you can put your phone on silent for maybe 30 minutes, an hour, or something like that, so that, after that period of time, then it will return to actually ringing. I've tried putting it on buzz, but if you have it on buzz and it's sitting on your desk and you're in the middle of a teleconference, then that can also be kind of annoying.
It is annoying. We have a running joke here around the studios. is that it doesn't matter what time of day it is. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is. But the moment I step into the studio, my husband will call me. It does. I mean, it's like he has like this sixth sense, like, oh, I'm going to bug the crap out of her right this moment. And then, of course, like your wife chastises you. I get chastised too, because I used to forget about turning it off. So then it was like, I would get the text that says, turn on your phone. You know what I mean? One of those. And you're like, okay, sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
What you can do is you can create a custom focus mode. Okay. Like we have one right now, or the one on my phone I have it called recording. And so when recording is on, nobody gets through. Okay. And I didn't realize this, but I had my phone out and it said recording on. My son was here and then I said, oh, here, let me turn that off. And he thought that whenever I had recording mode on, that I was recording him. I'm like, no, this means I'm recording a show or a podcast or something like that. So what you're going to do is go into settings and focus, and then you're going to create a new focus. And you give it a custom name like, Zoom calls or whatever you want to do. Now, you can choose to let who is going to go through as well as what apps allowed to go through. But what's nice is that you can have it time-based or app-based. So you can set it to activate automatically when you open Microsoft Teams or Zoom. And then you can say, when I open this, I want it on for like an hour. And it gives you a lot of flexibility. So it's kind of like do not disturb. But you can set it to deactivate after a certain amount of time, like the hour. Okay. Then you can get super fancy by using shortcuts. So if you want to get super fancy by doing shortcuts, that's where you can actually give it even more automation. And so with the shortcuts menu, a lot of people don't realize that the shortcuts menu that is built into your iPhone, it's actually really handy. That's where you can do an automation. You create a personal automation. You can set a time of day, like the apps. And then you can also set it on different levels. Even like if you were to even go to a certain place, if you were left the house, I mean, not that this is applicable to right here, but if you were to ever leave the house, you could have another shortcut pop up and, so anyway, but for benefits, for just getting started now, just go to settings and focus. And then you're going to hit that plus icon, and that's where you're going to get into creating a custom teleconference, people, apps, time-based, app-based. And then if you find that you need more than that, then that's where you get into a shortcut. But I think if you just create a new custom focus, that's going to be exactly what you need to do. John, thanks for your call today. And thanks for helping all the fish around the country. Oh, I'd love taking your calls. Scott in Palm Beach, Florida. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Kim. How are you doing?
I'm great. What's going on?
Well, I am a high school teacher, actually technically in Riviera Beach, which is very close to Palm Beach. And we are a Title I school, which means our funding is a little limited. We get some extra funding because we're a Title I, but funds are always tight. And I'm a computer teacher, and as such, every single one of my students have a computer, and they have access to things online and such. And they don't always like to be on the websites that I tell them to go to.
No, say that's not true, Scott. Come on.
Yeah, there's just, they want to do their own thing and play some games and watch football and all kinds of things like this. And so it can be challenging when I'm up at the front and trying to teach and I can't really see their screens. And so they're kind of off task and doing their own thing. And I used to have a program that I paid for a long time ago. I don't know if I can say the name of it.
Whatever you want to say.
Okay.
That's fine.
It was Land School, and it worked pretty well, and I used it quite often. But this year we upgraded to Windows 11. And I had a perpetual license for it. Land School has now gone to subscription-based. And so I tried to install that perpetual license on the Windows 11 machine. It just didn't work. So I am quite literally in the dark, in that I can't really see what's going on with my students without literally walking around to the back of my
Of course.
class.
And then they're hitting some keys real fast, like, oh, look, I'm doing exactly what you want me to do. Well, you have some options. One I think is going to be absolutely perfect for you. It's called Virtual Ion Networks. That's VEYON, Virtual Ion Networks. What you're going to love about
I've seen that.
Okay, what I love about it is that it works. It's been around for a long time, and it's free. It's open source, which means you have a lot of support that goes along with it. But you could take a look at all the student screens. You could actually take full control. Wouldn't that be funny? Okay.
Right. That's what the other one let me do.
Yeah.
I could take control of it. I could lock it. I could text message them and say, hey, get on task.
Yes. So you could, what you could do is be kind of funny is that if somebody's watching football, is that you minimize that screen and you put up like Barney. And it's like, you want me to treat you like a baby? I'll treat you like a baby. It's totally up to you. I love you. Yeah. You love me. And then also you can share your screen if you want to show everybody how to do one thing. You can shut down the computers. You can log them off. I mean, it's been out there for a long time. So the website, it's VEYON.io, Virtual Ion Networks. By the way, these programs are also good if you are ever like in a work environment, not just a school environment. So in case you want to check it out, again, it's Virtual Ion Networks, or you want to take a look at Light Manager Free. Scott, thank you for your call today. All right, let's switch gears just a little bit. Let me tell you, we are not getting any younger, sorry to say, but you can bring back your natural radiance with Native Path Collagen. Let me tell you, it is scientifically backed to increase bone mineral density, support tissue recovery, reduce wrinkles, enhance hair thickness, and strengthen weak or damaged nails. Now, of course, as a KM Commando Show listener, there's always a special deal for you. Now, you can get 45% off and free shipping, but you have to go to this address, getnativepath.com/Kim. That's getnativepath.com/Kim. Hey, I don't know if you're following the news, but it seems like every single day there's another car recall. We've got Tesla with 700,000 cars for tire pressure problems, Toyota, 900,000 SUVs, Honda's pulling over 200,000 cars for a gas leak risk. And so how do you keep track of all these car recalls? Well, you have come to the right place, because I'm going to tell you about a free app. It's called Safer Car, and it's actually put out by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administrations. Once again, it's called Safer Car. You just add your vehicle, plug in your VIN number, and include any extras like fancy car seats and upgraded infotainment or special tires. Again, that's Safer Car. You can find it in the Google Play or the Apple App Store. All right, so maybe since the holidays are over, you're still looking at that old computer and you're like, what the heck do I do with it? It has all my personal stuff on it. Well, you need to get rid of it the right way, or else the hackers and scammers are going to be totally into your bank accounts. I know, or worse. I'm going to be passing along some tips for that, as well as later on, surveys that you can take that you can make just a ton of cash. And before we get to that and more of your phone calls, let's talk about your health tracker. I mean, of course, it knows if your steps are wobbly, your heart's pounding, if you're tossing and turning at night. This is really great stuff to keep tabs on your health and on yourself. But researchers at Mozilla found that these devices, I know it's not really a shocker, but they often sell your health data to third parties. Think like third-party marketing companies, insurance companies. Now, current laws, there's nothing due to stop it. So here's how you protect yourself. You want to get devices with end-to-end encryption, or at least a strong privacy reputation. I'm talking about big names like Apple, of course, and Garmin and Samsung. And then what I want you to do is to dig into your privacy settings on this wearable and then try to find any options to opt out of data sharing. And you want to make sure that you turn those on. And whatever you do, oh my gosh, I can't stress this. This is so important. Do not link your health tracker to your social media or any type of third-party apps. They're just going to go ahead and collect your data and then sell it and keep selling it and keep selling it. Yeah, it just never stops. Let's see who's up next. Maina in Wichita, Kansas. Glad to have you with us.
Hi, Kim. Thank you so much for taking my call.
You betcha.
And I also wanted to tell you thank you for everything you do. I've learned so much from listening to your show. It really, really has done a lot for me. Thank you so much. The question I have is, I am an iPhone user, and my husband has an Android. And I was wondering if you could tell me what your opinion is on Apple Pay and Google Pay.
Okay.
Do you think they're safe to use?
Where are you asking?
Well, I just hear a lot of people saying they use it, and then when I go shopping, I always see the little
yes, of course
thing, and it seems like it's becoming more and more common, and I just wasn't sure if it's safe to use, and should I be using that instead of my debit card?
Well, yeah, number one, you don't want to use your debit card because that's frightening anytime to me. Somebody can get that number and wipe you out. I use Apple Pay all the time. I love Apple Pay. It's so much easier. It's so much more convenient than having to carry a wallet with a credit card, which to me kind of seems archaic at this point. I have my driver's license as part of my Apple Wallet. I have my loyalty cards there, my United Airlines and Air France or wherever I'm going, frequent flyer number cards in there, Williams-Sonoma key card. I mean, everything is inside my Apple Wallet. And here's the reason why. Because instead of actually giving wherever you're paying your actual number, whether it's a credit card number or a debit card number, is that it's a one-time use number. It's only good for that particular transaction. And so what that means is that even if the establishment were to get hacked, they don't have your number because they have only that one-time use number that is thoroughly encrypted. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then plus you're using Face ID or Touch ID because you for each transaction. And that's why if you ever look at a receipt from Apple Pay, you don't see a credit card number on that because it's not really being transmitted. It's a virtual account number, which is so that's the way that Apple works, and Google works the same way. Okay. So you have extra layers of protection that it's not your number. You have to use some type of biometric or a PIN number in order to even make that transaction. And so it's secure even when you're transmitting data over Wi-Fi or cellular too. So as far as is it safe? 1,000%. Well, watch everybody go get hacked right now just because I said that. let me find some wood. I'm knocking. You hear that? Yes. Stop. No hackers. No. Gosh, I know. Doesn't it seem like though every single day? It's like somebody's getting hacked every day. It's like
yes.
It's like, okay. But for right now, I really believe that it's good. It's a good product. It's certainly a lot easier, as I said, more convenient, and it's safer to use right now. Mania, thank you so much for your call today. Let's see. Lawrence in Litchfield Park, Arizona, not far from us. Hi there, Lawrence.
Hello.
Welcome.
I've got a question on the stickers that are supposed to protect you from the RFI radiation coming from your phone.
Okay.
And I just want to know if they do any good or is it just a waste of money?
What do you think? What does your gut tell you?
My gut tells me if it's not grounded, it's not going to reduce any radiation, and it may just reflect it right back into my ear.
Yeah, okay. Well, here's the deal. Everybody's come out and said that these stickers are just bogus. The FTC, the American Cancer Society, everybody and you see them advertised all over the internet, especially if you start even looking it up. And then every ad that you see is like, oh, gosh, this is going to be amazing for me. Let's talk about cell phone radiation first, okay? That it's done by SAR, and I've got a lot of information about this on the site at commando.com. And the phones, the modern phones that we have right now, like, an iPhone, a Samsung, Galaxy, it's all under the limit. And so what the FDA says and the FTC and all of the regulatory agencies is that, if it's under the limit, that it's okay. They also said that smoking was okay too, right? Remember those days?
Right.
I have an ad that's an old radio station ad where it's a woman who's smoking a cigarette with a 1940s microphone, and there's a doctor behind her. And she says, my doctor says that when I smoke Pall Malls, it coats my throat and I sound better on the radio. Okay. Yeah, sure. But here nor there, do I think it is as bad as cigarettes? No, but I do think that we all need to have an ounce of caution and prevention. What that means is that, you don't hold this thing up to your head 8 hours a day. Okay, that's bad. Okay.
Right.
You don't put it in your front pants pocket if you're a guy, because studies have shown that makes the little swimmers not so great. You don't want to put it in your sports bra if you're a woman, okay, because that's just a bad place. And so, so everything is in moderation. You want to use Bluetooth headsets, and you have to remember that cell phones emit non-ionizing radiation, which is low energy, doesn't have enough energy to directly damage DNA or cells like an X-ray. But I still think that we need to set some exposure limits to that. But I'm also pretty, I really pay attention to what I put in my body, and I have for my whole life. I mean, it's, I'm that annoying person that when you go to the restaurant and the waiter comes over and they say, what would you like? And I say, what, I would like a piece of salmon, wild, center cut, cooked in olive oil, no salt. And they look at you like, oh my gosh, So as far as these stickers go, they don't do anything. Don't waste your money.
Okay.
You're better off, reducing your exposure like we talked about. And if you're wondering about how much exposure that you are getting on your phone and how it compares to other phones, again, we have the list over at Komando.com. Just do a search for, cell phone radiation, and I'm sure a whole bunch of articles are going to pop right up for you. Lawrence, thank you for your call today. All right. Have you played Pick 6 from DraftKings yet? What are you waiting for? You better get on it. The playoffs are here and time is just running out. Now, as the official daily fantasy sports partner of the NFL, DraftKings does fantasy sports like no one else. And DraftKings is making it even sweeter for first timers. Listen up. New Pick 6 customers play $5 and you get $50 in Pick 6 credits. You can win more cash. You can win more cash on Pick 6. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and use code KIMK. That's code KIMK for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, and help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Now, Pick 6 is not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 30 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. All right, if you have an old computer sitting around and if you're planning to sell it or toss it, you have one really important step to take. Now, a factory reset might seem like enough, but let me tell you, it is not. Hackers can still dig up personal files even after a reset. So I want you to think about everything you've stored on that computer, your passwords, your photos, your banking details, your work documents, and a lot more. You don't want any of that in the wrong hands, obviously. So you have to do this before you sell or throw away your computer. You want to use a secure wiping tool. And what they do is they overwrite the entire hard drive with just random data, bits and bytes, making it nearly impossible to recover anything. So here are some that you can check out. D-Bands is probably the best. It's Derek's Boot and Nuke. It's 100% free. It works great. It's been around forever. You just download it, load it onto a thumb drive, boot up the computer, you wipe the drive, and it's the best way to make sure that all your private info is truly, truly erased and nobody can get to it. And just a reminder, if you haven't already, make sure that you enter to win those Ray-Ban Meta glasses, AI enabled. You're going to look so cool. And then you could be getting instant translations right on the fly and directions and good things like that. It's a $329 value. You can win it for free right now, but you have to enter. Yes, no purchase required. Head over to winfromkim.com. Once again, that's winfromkim.com. Let's see who's next. Chris in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Hi, Kim. Thank you very much for talking to me today.
Oh, my pleasure. How can I lend a hand?
I was trying to figure out a way without actually calling the number itself to figure out if there's a way to find out if a number that I have had previously, it was actually a landline way back when I was growing up, would still be available that I could maybe convert over into a cell phone line and grab it. Partly just for nostalgia purposes, but otherwise it's easy to remember.
Isn't that funny? So you still remember your phone number as a child?
Yes.
That's kind of cool. So you want to have it as your cell phone number?
Right. Yeah. I've moved all over the country, and I've now moved back to the state where I grew up. It's a slightly different location, but it is the same area code at least. And I kind of need to. Everybody looks at me funny when I give my current phone number because it's an out-of-state phone number. So
I see. Area codes don't really mean too much anymore, really, because you can have any area code you want. Well, of course, like you mentioned, you could call the person and say, "Hi, this used to be my phone number like 30, 40 years ago, and I'd like to have it back. How do you feel about that?" You could use reverse lookup service like White Pages. And
sure.
There's also Anywho. The other thing that you could do is just reach out to your phone provider and ask them if that number is available. Now, once you have the number, assume you're going to get the number. Okay, so then how do you get that onto your cell phone? Well, it's actually pretty easy. Is that you can use a service like Google Voice. And once you have that phone number, that landline number, because I doubt it's going to be a cell phone number, it's going to be a landline number, I'm sure. Not I'm sure, but I bet you it is that you can pay Google $20 and they will port that number to Google Voice. And so that this way you could have that phone number, but it would actually be a Google Voice number so long as the provider releases that number to you. And then you can port it over to a mobile. You can also port it over to a VoIP provider. But speaking of Google Voice, Google Voice will let you have a phone number. And what they do is when you go to sign up for Google Voice, they'll give you different area codes. And they'll say, okay, we have these numbers available in these area codes. And you're like, okay, well, like a friend of mine, he has a 202, even though he lives in Scottsdale, Arizona, but a 202 area code, because that's Washington, D.C. So when people say like, oh, so where can we reach you? He looks at him and goes, at my Washington, D.C. office.
That's funny.
I'm like, really? Come on. So with Google Voice, you might be able to get the number. I'm not sure. And then there's another service called Grasshopper. And with Grasshopper, they charge a monthly fee. Google Voice is free. Grasshopper charges anywhere between $20 and $30 a month. That's where you can maybe get a phone number from there. But I just gave you a whole bunch of different options. Does all that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely something to look into because I didn't know if certain providers had certain allotments of phone numbers or how all that worked exactly. But it's a good way to try and move it forward a little bit. But
with so many people getting rid of their landlines, it's probably a pretty good shot that number just might be available to you. Okay, so how many of us were able to remember our childhood phone number? Come on, think about it. 727-0859. And I'm sorry if you live there, if you have that number. Don't call that number, folks. That's not my number anymore. It's when I was a child. Wow, I just love taking your phone calls. And I know you just might be too shy to come on a big time show and podcast. Or you're like, oh, Kim, I just want you to hear my question. Well, here's what I want you to do. And I know you can DM me all over social media and leave comments. But the very best way for you to make sure that I read your question or comment is for you to go to one spot. That's the official homepage of the Kim Komando Show, which is, of course, Komando.com with a K. So you go to Komando.com. There's a link at the top that says Ask Kim. I read every single note that you guys and gals send me right there. Again, so whether it's about some dilemma that you're having with your family, or maybe you're trying to get your business off the ground or take it to the next level, I am here for you. I am, and I love to take your questions. Again, head to Komando.com and use that link at the top that says Ask Kim.
This program is a copyrighted production of Westar Multimedia Entertainment and protected by the copyright laws. Any rebroadcast or use of this program for commercial, business, economic, or financial purposes without the written permission of Westar Multimedia Entertainment is strictly prohibited.